Howdy, I'm Tom Bassel.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Mike Delisio.
And it's to me, hands down, is my favorite video I do all year round.
Hands down, baby.
Well, maybe not more than
Hands
the
up.
RPG stuff's pretty fun.
RPG,
which we would do
is
more of.
trash. I'm not involved.
Yeah, you aren't. Isn't that sad? It's. See, nowadays the kids pretend to be characters. Anyway, the top 10 of the year. It's a great year, and I'm so excited. I've already given many, many great games in all these lists.
Yes. No, this has been an amazing year. I've had some people approach me and say, Mike, nice to meet you. Hey, I don't think 2024 has been a really good year. To which I say, nice
How
to
did
meet
you get into my house? And you're erroneous.
Stand still for the Ring camera and...
They go knock at your door. Is this Mike's house?
Yeah,
I have
and
something to say.
I think this has been a very strong year. Now leave me. So yeah, no, I think this has been a really good year. And can I just give my little thing, get my preamble out of the way?
What's the preamble?
No.
All right, I won't.
What's the
I know
preamble?
what you mean. Wait till it's relevant. It will be relevant at some point in this list.
Okay, it'll come
You know
up
what I mean.
850 times
I'm
on the
so
chat. That's fine.
confounded.
That's all right.
What's the usual preamble about?
It's
Give
not
me
a
like
usual-
the topic.
It's not a usual
No.
preamble. It's a very specific thing. Wait
It's
till
a
it
very-
comes up.
All right, I'll wait till it
It
comes
will
Oh.
come up. I promise.
Oh,
Okay.
it's coming up.
All right. So anyhow,
Guys, now I'm scared and flustered.
it doesn't affect you, Garcia.
Z, you can't know the preamble. You're not ready. It will shock you.
I'm definitely not ready for the amble if I'm not ready for the preamble.
No.
Okay. Let me talk about a few things. So I think this was a very strong year
Yep.
for Knizia, but
Is
for
that the preamble?
No, I just did top 10.
but for heavy Euro games. Good grief, there was
Heavy
a ton
Euro
of them.
games was where it was
Yes,
at this year. Definitely
it
seems
was.
that way. Thematic heavy Euro games in many instances, but absolutely, if that's your bread and butter, boy, were you just at an embarrassment of riches this
Right.
year. You know,
No question.
But also
everything,
there was a lot of
space
big-
ones and gorgeous ones and deep thinking. I mean, all of them.
Yeah.
There was also obviously a big year for deduction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was a lot of
strangely, yeah.
boss battler type games.
That's
If
still
you-
going.
That's still thing. Yeah. I think that was really like in the last 2-3 years. That's become a really big thing.
Yeah, there's been
That's
some.
blown out
Yeah.
as a genre. That's
has.
really taken off.
I feel like a diverse types of games that are on my list. I have some Ameritrash and some
Yeah.
Euro games and some things like that. And I tell you, I was changing it all the way to the end, at least the bottom 3 or 4. I was like, oh, this game's great. Oh, but this one's great. And I felt bad for each one I knocked off.
I
Yeah.
had games that I was strongly considering, but I felt like I hadn't played them as much as the games that are on my list, and so I was really hesitant to, there's just a number of games that, like the Inventors, I don't want to give them away because then they'll know they're not on my list. But there are certain games that just got released. I had already done my list. I wasn't going to change it because I only had a chance to play it once or twice.
Yeah, this is definitely a snapshot of right now. Actually, it's a snapshot of about a couple weeks ago, really.
Yeah.
But I
yes,
didn't
it's
play anything in the
tricky.
last 2 weeks that would have hit my top 10.
Yeah, it's more that indecision of like, ooh, like by turns, this might
Yeah.
be a little higher, this might be a
Right.
little lower. You're getting, a general idea of what I thought of the year.
Z, you look a little parched. Are you sure you're going to be
I would
ready?
love,
Are you sure you're going to be ready for this?
I would love some water.
I think you need to be hydrated if you're going to do a list like this. Wow. I mean,
I would
wow.
love
If only you had
a
asked
little,
somebody
little sip of H2O would
only you had asked
quench
somebody
my
a
thirst.
good 20 minutes
So
ago.
right before we started, Z asked
Oh, I
Joey to
can-
grab some water.
No,
I
not
feel
right
like I've been
before we started.
abandoned in
like
the
a minute
Sahara.
and a half before we
Oh,
started.
no.
All right, let's get started.
Sting.
I asked Joey to bring me
gross.
some water,
He brought you squid
and instead I get freshly squeezed squid juice.
droppings.
What is this? I think a wombat has gone
gonna tell
poopy
you
in my
what.
water.
You give that thing 2 days in the sun, you have 1,000 squid that are going to come out of that bottle.
What? This is like the end of Watchmen.
Would you drink that, actually?
I would drink that.
You like coconut water?
I do. Yeah.
Oh, this is coconut.
Yeah. I will tell you, though, it couldn't look a lot less gross than it does. It's
I'm struggling to.
Wait, did you
get
not
in
actually
here.
bring real water? Oh.
yeah.
I'm
All right,
drinking
do
this,
it.
man.
Drink the squid juice.
Meanwhile, let's Mike. Let's start us off with number 10.
All right.
I hope there's a
I'm
squid
afraid the
involved.
people are going to be distracted.
You can
by
really
it.
taste the palm.
All right. My number 10 is a Euro game by a really good Euro designer, Stan Kordonski. It is Nova Roma.
Yep.
I
very good.
really, really like this game. It was released relatively early in the year, and so I've had a good number of plays of this. It's always gone down well. It gives you. Does it give you a Trajan feel? I don't know if it really does.
Slightly a little bit because
Yeah.
you're picking an action in the middle,
Right.
Which then makes you do a mini game of
A
sorts
mini
around the
game, yeah,
outside.
yeah.
I just think the actions in the middle is easier to wrap your
It
mind
is,
around
right.
than
It's-
the
than the
Moncala thing.
Yeah, and I just really like how that action selection system works.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really clever. It's really smart. It's
And
interactive.
interactive, yeah.
Yeah, and so all of that to serve a rock solid Euro game that has a lot of things that are going to be familiar to you, but it just feels smooth. It's a really very satisfying Euro game where I think that it has. Not an overwhelming rules complexity
Right.
for the amount of experience you get out of it. So yeah, I was really impressed with Nova Roma, and it's become much more available. It was originally
Right.
self-published and with the Half a Kingdom games, and now 25th Century brought it to the North American market, and we just talked about earlier that it's going to be for other audiences as well.
Right. Yep. That's a good one.
I think this is good. I mean,
Yeah.
I like it a lot. This makes sense that it's on your list.
Yeah.
I think he's probably moved up in your top 3 designers.
He's in the
Top
mix.
3,
He's in
wow.
the mix because honestly, there's very
I'm sorry, top 3 designers other than Knizia TM.
That's true. Yeah. You can't even put him in. He's outside of numbers.
He's a mathematician.
He exists beyond the numerical realm,
Sorry.
which is odd for a
I need
mathematician.
to sit with this to understand what these
All right.
things are that you speak. Is it me next?
Yes, it is you.
I can't take
Is it a
this.
Knizia game? It
It's
has to
not a
be.
Knizia game, but it is a game that people have been waiting for a long time. It finally showed up. And while I think opinions have somewhat differed around here, I know with you, I thought it was a very well put together game. This is Unconscious Mind, my number 10.
Okay, here's the thing. It's not that I don't like it.
You hated it.
I thought,
I just
wow.
didn't love it as much as you all did. That's
No,
all.
I agree. No,
My
that's fine.
goodness.
I think again the build to the game is going to hurt it a
It
bit.
is,
You know,
it
it's
is.
sort of we've known of it now for a couple of years.
It was on my anticipated list for 2 straight years.
Yeah, right. So it's finally out. I thought they did a very good job of incorporating some interesting mechanical, certainly, but some interesting ideas in it. I love the progression in it, the things you build up. It reminds me of a few other Euro games that did clever things in the past. Things like Black Angel, a very big, heavy, dice-driven Euro game, did a similar thing in front of you where you are sort of, combining things, and as you take actions, your turns are bigger and better, and you have more interesting stuff to consider.
Yeah.
You are doing this research, you're doing a little worker placement, you're publishing your research. The whole theme, the trappings in this game, I really enjoy. And then on top of that, you add the dichotomy of the real world and its artwork and the dream world and that artwork, both from renowned artists. The whole thing is incredibly warm and welcoming as well. And a little clinical on top of that, which
Yeah.
I think is not a negative thing to
It
say about this
fits.
game because, well, the theme is somewhat clinical.
Yeah.
So I thought it came together really well. I enjoy this one. It's a solid Euro game. Again, we were talking about heavy Euro games this year. This is one of those.
Yep.
And that's
It
my
blows
number.
my mind
that's
that
my
this is
number
on
10.
your list at all.
Yeah.
A heavy Euro game.
I like heavy Euro games. I
List
like them to
10.
be.
I'm kidding.
Just hang on. 9 through 1 will all be heavy Euro games this year. Yeah, especially if they're pretty and they have a cool theme. Which
Yeah.
I do like this theme. Then
That definitely helps.
yeah. It's my number 10.
Well, there's no way I'm going to mock at how long Unconscious Minds took to come out, because my number 10 took a good 4 to 5 years to come out.
I think I know what this is.
My number 10 just came out, actually, and it's the newest entry on the list, but I love it, and that is Freedom 5. Freedom 5, which is a Dice Tower essential, and that's because I almost signed it when he just told me the idea. He's like, Defenders of the Realm, but with superheroes. I was like,
I'm in.
Done. And then I played this way back in 2019 when we were testing it, and I liked it a lot, and then it's been a long time. I completely forgot how to play the game. I had to relearn it. Man, this game is just pumped full of theme. When you're running around the city, you're fighting thugs, you have to pause your superheroing to go do your job for a bit. And I think, honestly, if you like Marvel Champions, that's a more clinical. There's less randomness in Marvel Champions.
Today. Clinical is my word today.
It's
It's
more
a Richard
methodical.
Lanius game, man. It's just like
Well,
He
no, but I'm
goes
saying-
and he's all about that theme
He
first.
is,
You know what I mean?
100%.
It's thematic, it's punchy, it's fun.
Well, the Sadler brothers were involved
Right.
too, and I
Yep.
know Pete Shire and other people. There's a lot of folks who like that theme, but I forgot how much I like Defenders of the Realm system.
Yeah.
Which is kind of based on the Pandemic system.
Right.
But this doesn't really feel like Pandemic anymore, other than you get too many guys in an area that kind of spread out.
Not really. No, not really.
It does feel like this is one of those comic cities where you're like, why does anyone live in a city where so much crime is constantly happening?
Yeah.
But
That's true.
the having your own deck, it's just a very clean system. Looking at it, I thought, I don't know, man, this is going to be overly complicated, but it's pretty easy to pick up because of the theme.
Yeah.
This makes sense. I can go do this. I have a blast playing this. So that's my number 10, Freedom 5.
What's wrong with you?
Whoa!
I got some
I'm
real
glad
water.
the mics were cut until just a moment ago.
You do not know what is going on behind the scenes here.
Folks, it's straight fire. today.
Wow.
Joey Evans is
He
He's a
cannot-
boastful man.
He's a boastful man.
He's a boastful
He
man.
is not for mass consumption.
He's very proud.
rated R.
Thank you, Joey.
My number 9. My number 9 is a dungeon crawl. And I am very selective with my dungeon crawls. There are some I like, but there are many more that I don't like. What tends to get me interested in a dungeon crawl is one that A, isn't like a hugely long campaign, and B, has a cool theme, something that's not necessarily what you see all the time. My number 9 is Tidal Blades 2. This is really, really a great take on that genre of dungeon crawls. So much so that it feels like you're doing those things, but it's in such a different world than you're used to that it kind of takes you out of it and it becomes its own thing, right? A, because it's the setting is different, but B, the way that the actions are taken with this Nexus board, a 3x3 grid, and you're placing the cards onto that grid, and the cards are not only going to be setting the initiative for the round, they're going to be setting what actions you're going to be taking and where you place them on the board in relation to other cards or other symbols on your board. It's such a simple system that is so versatile and allows you to do so many different things and allows you to make clever decisions with simply a hand of 4 cards and a grid of 9 spots. And using that to drive this expansive game with great, story elements but not too many of the story elements, and in a world that is my favorite probably board game world out there. Like, I absolutely love this universe, or whatever you want to call it, the Tidal Blades. It's got whimsy, it's got danger, and it does it all with just the right tone. You know what I mean? It's cartoony, but not childish. It's you know what I mean? It kind of feels like a Pixar type of a thing. So I really, really have been impressed with this game, and the fact that it's named Tidal Blades. You had actually mentioned this. It could hurt for some because it plays nothing like the original.
It's a very
Tidal
different
Blades.
game.
It's the same theme, and that's pretty
same
much
theme,
it. And I
and
think
the
it's
same
also
designers,
I think
you
it's
know.
the same story. I think Tidal
Yes.
Blades like after the events of Tidal Blade 1,
Right.
Tidal Blades 2,
Yep.
which is now a romance.
Absolutely.
You know,
Right.
that sort of thing.
Yeah. So number 9, a really cool dungeon crawler, Tidal Blades 2.
All right, my number 9 is a combo-rific card game with a very unfortunate look and a very unfortunate title, both of which I think are going to hurt it, and I assume are hurting it actively, possibly mortally.
Wow.
I think this is a game that might die to that. You know what I mean?
This is number 1 Back from the Dead game.
This is AI 100% human. AI 100% human is a combo.
Yes.
I have not played this game
Right.
because of both those reasons.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. This is a combo-rific card game a la Race for the Galaxy, Reef. It kind of feels like Reef, where a card, in that game you have components, that are plastic pieces, but you play a card, and that card gives you both things on the card, but a scoring condition as well. And as you play that card, you check for other things on your tableau in front of you. And you'll be scoring victory points for that. 2 points for every purple and or red card kitty corner to each other. When that card hits the table, you check that. Across the bottom there, it tells you everywhere on your player board. That's the front blue card. Boom, you do that, you're going to get a few points. It's Feldian in a way, because you're doing, everything you do is 2 or 3 or 4 points at first. And as the game builds, you can have big turns or bad turns. It's sort of, it spreads out. You can work towards some really big things. You have a personal scoring opportunity that begins right on your board. You know what it is from the word go, and you'll score it at the end of the game. So you can really concern yourself with that and worry about it. You have side goals over here. So the whole game is very tactical, very thinky. It's just not pretty, and it's called this.
Yeah.
And I worry that it's absolutely going to get looked over. But if you enjoy that, very reactionary, very combo-y kind of games, where this card helps me with this, but it'll hurt over here later on. What's better? What's worse? How do I tackle this? It's also a drafting game on top of that, and I love drafting games. Then this is one that you should check out. So yeah, my number 9, card game, very cool concept. AI 100% human.
My number 9 is from a designer who I dislike many of his games so very much.
Dislike on a personal level.
Well, also, he's taller than me, which is annoying.
Oh.
It's very
But
few
this
people.
is my favorite game he has made. It's also the longest game I played this year that's not campaign. It is fantastic, and that is Civolution. Civolution.
Oh, wow, really? Okay.
I really love this game, man. Here's the thing. I love Civ games. Calling this a Civ game is stretching a bit. Because
It's like Tapestry in that way.
you're right. It's
Yeah.
exactly like Tapestry in that it's just a strong Euro game. It's a point salad. But I think the reason I like it is because it's almost sandboxing in the sense of there's so many things to do. You can go out
Interesting.
exploring and finding
Yeah.
temples and things across the thing.
Hunting.
You can get resources and build stuff like buildings. You can upgrade technology. I think there's 22 different actions you can take at any given point. They can all be upgraded into other actions. There's cards that you build in front of you, and there's combos. You're scoring points throughout the game, and then at the end you score a whole pile of points. It's long, though.
It's
Got it? And it's a table hog. Even though the game fits in the size of a Ticket to Ride size box, but there's a lot of stuff in there, and it's almost like this is not a game I'd play with new people to gaming, obviously.
No,
I think this is a heavy game, but it also is a game where the stuff makes sense. There's not a ton of theme, but there's enough.
Yeah, Tom taught me this. I played it for the first time this Sunday. And I could tell you if I played it a few more times and it feels the way it did that first game, this might have been in my top 10.
That's interesting.
I mean, this
Okay.
is I'm also not a huge Stefan Feld fan. I mean, I bounce off more than I like. But yeah, this one, for as many actions and things, feels more connected than his games often do. To me, his games a lot of times are just these scattershot, ways to get 2 or 3 points on a turn. This really, while it's not a traditional civilization game, it helps the theme because it's like, yes, I'm going to go here to farm to get food to feed my population. All that makes sense.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It sounds longer than most of his games too.
It
sounds
is
bigger.
It's
100%. It's his
incredibly
heaviest game in my
long.
mind by far.
Yeah. Like I don't think it's
Wow.
even close.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I think it's
Okay.
probably best with 2.
Yeah.
I've not played it with 4, and I never will. Right? Well, that's also a table space issue
Yeah,
too.
sure,
It takes
sure.
a lot, but man, it has a. I might even try to solo at some point. Mike has almost talked me into it.
Yeah, I'm going to solo it for sure.
All right.
That's
Cool.
Civolution.
My number 8 is a tile laying-ish
Does it
game.
cross over with Camilla? Because I think you're 2 for 2 so far.
No, I know it's crazy, right? I didn't tell her what my list was, but I told her, I said, I think we have some crossovers on our list. I can guarantee you this game is not on Camilla's
Or
list.
anyone in humanities.
Or anyone else here's list for sure. This
don't know that.
is, I do, yeah. This is Cascadero, Reiner Knizia new design, and
the guy
has-
fighting in front of the circus tent.
That's Ian O'Toole, sir.
Circus tent.
Anyway,
Tell me it's not a circus tent.
I am confused by that cover. There's a castle in the back. The bottom
it's a
is a blue
herald.
castle.
It's a herald. That's a mountain, a silhouette of a mountain with a castle on
Yeah.
it. There is the herald blowing out his trumpet, telling people.
No, I see the guy, Mike.
Yeah.
You're talking about the white behind that. What's the above
white-
the mountain? The mountain I love, that deep, rich
Yeah,
blue. Then there's sort of cloud-like
Clouds.
and then
A circus tent.
sort of
The color palette. It's a hair. It's a what
Is
do you
it-
call those things? The house
banner?
A banner.
Tapestry.
Yeah. It's like heraldry or whatever. Anyway,
We taking all Mike's thunder out.
jeez.
No, I like that cover. I think
yeah.
it's Ian O'Toole. I love his look.
Yeah. So this is a game where you've got essentially 2 halves or so of the board. On the left side where you see that hex map, that's going to be where you are doing some path building. And you are trying to connect to these different tiles that are on the board, and you're also trying to block other players. So it's going to have some things that are reminiscent of Through the Desert or Babylonia, some of his other games. But the big difference is that map is tied to those tracks on the right-hand side. So what you're doing on the hex map is going to influence which tracks you're progressing in, which are going to lead to boons that give you combos that let you do more things on the map. So it's one of those combo-rific type games.
Okay.
And it's just really good. Now, Knizia had really not done anything in the line of point salad games until the last few years.
That's true. Yeah.
So really, I think it was Millefiori.
Millefiori, right.
But since then, he's had a number of these types of games where you do something and you're going to get some points on almost every play you make. Right.
Interesting. Yeah.
And here again, it's a typical thing. You can place out 1 or 2 of your little, horsies to kind of can make paths, but that leads to some really neat cascading combo turns. So, really, really like Cascadero, and I'm happy to see him still designing these types of games.
This is one I'd like to try. I don't know if I would. It sounds a little dry, but
It's
do.
not thematic by any
Right,
means, yeah.
sure, but it's one that I liked the form factor, and I'd like to give it a go.
That's a good point. It's in a
Yeah.
relatively small box.
Right, it is. Yeah. All right, my number 8 is a game with an interesting theme, a very video game like theme. It's called Leviathan Wilds.
I wondered if
I
this would
haven't
make
played
your
this.
top
It
10.
is, yeah. This is a funky game. You are going to have a creature, sort of a very large creature, not necessarily an evil creature, mind you. They're just sort of
It's
I don't
being
want to call.
driven mad by these crystals.
Yeah, I don't want to call it a monster, but it's like some sort of animal, giant animal that is infected with these crystals growing upon its very large body, and we are trying to climb this creature and break those crystals and basically free it, if you would. So that's kind of a funky theme, it's an interesting idea. And then the way you build your character, it's a combination of you having basically a role and a character. And you combine those things, they give you access to cards. You'll be playing, bad things are happening, you are climbing. There's a lot of sort of traversal in this game, but it's all vertical mostly, which is very interesting. You are climbing, you are leaping from one handhold to another one. Sometimes the monster will kind of shake you off and you'll fall, and you're hopefully passing another place to grab onto. The whole thing is very, again, it feels like a 2D video gamey sort of idea, but it comes together really well. There's a lot of these creatures in the game. You open like a spiral bound book, and that'll show you the entire, a monster, whatever. And then you have this system of cards across the bottom that I really enjoy this. You are going to be flipping one over after you go, and something bad will happen. But then once you're done, you take one random one, once you go through all the cards, and you flip it purple side up, and that's harder. And you shuffle that up again, and you go through them all again. And so as the game has a really neat way of sort of making successive rounds a little bit more difficult by turning cards to the purple side as you go.
Yeah.
Have you played Skull Hollow?
I have not.
Have you
I
played
have.
Leviathan Wilds?
Yes.
Does it feel anything like that at all?
Not really. One, because it's cooperative.
Sure. Okay.
It's like you're playing like a 2D and you're running around on a level and you're working together to get it done.
Okay.
It's like Shadow of the Colossus, really, in a
Yeah,
sense, but
right,
cooperatively.
exactly,
There was
yeah.
multiple people attacking it.
It's a funky game. It's from a new company. I believe the company is from some folks that used to work at Fantasy Flight Games, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, there's you can see a little bit of that shared passion for theme and interesting DNA, but
Oh, is this that Moon Crab game?
Yeah,
yeah.
it
They were
is.
former FFG people.
That's right.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. I thought it was cool. Yeah, if you want a co-op game that gives you that video gamey feel and a little sort of shuffle building, if you would, I think you're going to get it in this one. That's Leviathan Wilds.
All right, my number 8's another Euro-style game, and this was a game that when I first saw it, I thought looked fairly complex. Then when I played it, it's like, wow, this game plays like a breeze. This was a game based on a IP that I really can't remember anything about it in the game, and this is River of Gold. It's based on the Legends of the Five Rings, which is in this game, sort of, but if you don't know anything about that, you will be fine. It's a beautiful game with the gold embossing all over it. But what's just amazing about this game is you're moving down the river. I mean, you have a die, and you...
What are we pausing on?
This game doesn't look like...
That's definitely not River of Gold.
Yeah, maybe not. Is it? Yeah, it's just the hands are obscuring a good chunk of it. Oh, you're right.
Oh, okay.
I was like, trying to look at that.
It looked like Creature Comforts to me from here.
No, it's very well. But you have a die, and that's your action. But your action can be three different things, whether it's building a building or moving your ship or other things like that. And you have to decide which of those actions to take, but you can also manipulate the die. And as you move down the river, you're getting tons of resources, but other people will own those spots, and then you're getting bonuses. I just like that.
Like a Waterdeep kind of a thing.
It is. In fact, if someone said I like Lords of Waterdeep, I think I might teach them this next.
Okay.
It also doesn't take long. It's like an hour.
Yeah. I haven't played this yet. I will tell you one of the most surprising things about it is that somebody thought that this cover was one of the 32 best of the year.
Well, after reading your, I'm trying to think of a polite word to say, idiotic comments about art, yeah, you're insane. That's beautiful. What is wrong with you? That's gorgeous.
It's nice. It's nice. I can think of about 800 covers that came out last year.
Okay, first of all, filthy lie. Okay? Filthy lie. You just showed us a circus tent.
I'm just
You
salty
showed us
I
a
wasn't
circus
here
tent.
live to be able to give you the correct opinions on art. Thank you.
Anyway, the board of this, I think, is absolutely gorgeous,
It
too.
might be.
And the
I haven't
card
really looked
artwork,
at it.
the Legends of the Five Rings has a
I
lot
like
of
the
great
hands.
stuff.
The hands were really, those were
Anyhow.
hand models, clearly.
I really do love River of Gold, and I think this is one that has some legs to it, if only because when people play it, it's just so easy to get into.
No,
and
I'm
go
hearing
through.
people, it's got a lot of buzz. Like, it really does, so.
So River of Gold, my number 8.
My number 7 is a game that is so good, it led off the Dice Tower Winter Spectacular 2024. My number 7 game is Wondrous Creatures. Yes,
This is actually
Wondrous
kind of
Creatures.
low. I thought this might be in your top
that
5.
That shows you how good of a year this was. Like I've got games in my down here that are like 9s. You know what I mean? Like this was a really solid year for me. And this game, it may go up, man. I really, really like this game. Bad Comet, Bad Comet publisher. They seem to be just getting better and better. I've always liked their ideas. Sometimes their actual finished product had some rough edges and some usually length issues. And some could even argue that here, but this one doesn't seem to overstay its welcome to
It's an
me.
internal development group, like the publisher is the designers.
I believe so, yes.
I think
I
so,
agree.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
are. Yeah, I like the progression here.
Yeah, it's looking really good because from Life of the Amazonia last year, which was in my top 10 of last year, and Wondrous Creatures, which is in my top 10
I
of
might
this
like
year.
Life of Amazonia better, but that's only because I love the
That's
bag pool
thing.
building
Yeah,
so much.
I think if you really like bag building, you would go for Amazonia. But both games are terrific. You know, this, of course, has beautiful pieces and a beautiful look, but it is a rock solid, essentially card game. This is more a card game than
Yeah.
anything else. Because really, when you're doing the worker placement, all you're doing is gathering resources.
Yeah.
And all of those resources are in service of getting those cards and comboing the cards, getting the right mixture of cards that will trigger when you refresh, cards
Yeah.
that will be end game scoring points, cards that generate resources. It is, and it's a huge deck of cards, right? And they're all very, very unique.
I think that's
So-
what I like about it.
Yeah.
I love card games, and this is like you hit the nail on that. This is basically a card game
Mm-hmm.
that has all those trappings of the usual, not quite trading card games, but those things, cards with powers and
Yeah,
stuff. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
This is one that is not going to make my lists because I didn't play it enough. I
Yeah.
played an early version of it once, haven't played again. But yes, absolutely, the cards, the amount of stuff was my jam.
Yeah, yeah. So really, really terrific game. Number 7, Wondrous Creatures.
Very nice. My number 7 is a crossover already at the table right here, and that is with Mr. Tom Vassell, Freedom 5.
Really?
Freedom 5 is sweet.
Wow.
Freedom 5 is very, very fun. I like Pandemic, obviously. Like Tom said, most of that DNA, I would say, is not that it's gone. It's become a lesser part because there is more other stuff.
When you first played Defenders of the Realm, people said, wait a minute, is this Pandemic?
Yes.
No one's going to say that really.
No, they might say it has a system, where things explode, kind of like Pandemic, but like this instead. That's it. But that is a smaller percentage of the whole now, so no one's making that comparison, right? It feels a little bit like that superhero game that came out from FFG, where you're, the Marvel superheroes, Marvel whatever it's called.
Dagger? Or?
Yeah, Dagger.
I never played that.
It's a little bit like Dagger. You're moving around. You have your own special abilities. You're chucking dice, that kind of thing. But it's a fun world. It's a vibrant world. It's very, and this seems silly to say, but it's very comic booky. Whereas Marvel-themed things, because we have movies and we have taken a lot of this stuff very seriously now, feels less comic booky. Whereas this is like, oh yeah, of course the bad guy got a device delivered to his cell and he blew up his cell and escaped and is now planting bombs all over the city. That makes perfect sense. In a comic book world,
Yeah, right.
you can't, you have to dress that up and mature it up to put it on screen. Otherwise you're like, Saturday morning much? But it flies here. I love the characters. That's my favorite thing, is who you get to be.
I find this interesting because you did not care for the characters that much when Sentinels first came out.
I didn't care for the look because they were going for they in that game they do something very interesting, which is the cards are drawn to be like fake covers and illustrations from comics that never existed, and a lot of them were older. And I don't really like old comics.
Okay.
Where everybody was like, "Now I'll punch you!" exclamation mark, and that style. I don't love that
Yeah.
style. So a lot of that look is kind of what detracts it from me. This takes all those characters and makes them look like they're drawn in comic books now, and they look awesome. The different characters do a lot of different stuff. They're really distinct. That's the thing. And then because they have their own deck of cards, as opposed to in Defenders of the Realm, there was none of that stuff. You can really manipulate and mess around with the things you can do. You have a speedster, you have a tanky guy, you have a guy who will contain or freeze or control things. You have somebody who's like a Batman type character who can, throw money at the problem and be like, oh, you need to be over here. Guess what? You're there now. You need to rebuild something. You're rebuilt now. I love the parallels there, I really enjoy this one. It's super fun. My only concern, which I think is why it's not even higher, is it can be very long. You need to set aside some time to play this. The game's long. Other than that, really, really fun.
All right, my number 7 is another Euro game.
Whoa.
That's right, the hater of Euro games I am. But finally, after several dry years, in my opinion, CGE is back, and this is SETI.
Oh, wow.
Man, what a year for this designer.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah.
No
Out
kidding.
of the gate.
Tomas, is that Galileo Galilei and
Tea Garden.
I haven't played Tea Garden yet,
haven't either.
and Galileo Galilei is farther down my list. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Although I think it went high on Wendy's list, and I think Chris too.
Yeah.
But man, I love this one. I love the not necessarily sandbox feel as much, but there's just so many things you can do. I can go out and fly probes around and land on planets, or I can just start scanning for data, and it has the terraforming Mars esque, where that deck of cards. Every card is different, and you can play cards as actions, and they're better than the normal actions. And then that's, I think, was fun enough, but then they add the aliens. There's 5 aliens in the game. You put 2 down. When you discover an alien, which will happen somewhere in the middle third of the game, they add new cards and new rules and new ways to score points.
Like mini games,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a neat thing to add to it. And the components and the theme is fun for me. Like, oh, we're finding this alien race.
I love SETI. I mean, as an idea, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, this is a Euro, like a rock-solid Euro that does not feel like you're playing a Euro. I think that's really maybe the things. Like, I don't
know if I agree on that.
I do.
I feel like it's a Euro.
I mean, obviously, I agree with it. I said it. To
be fair, I've said a lot of stuff I don't agree with.
That's true. That's true. I don't think it feels because you're doing little positional things. You're doing. To me, it just didn't feel like a standard Euro. Like, it's not just the look and not just the theme. The way it handles what you're doing is just a little bit different. It's a good thing. I mean, I think that's a good thing, is that it doesn't feel like you're playing a dry Euro.
Well, I know that Min and Elwin were on the development team for this.
Oh,
okay. The Arnak, and so you can tell that their hand was in on it. It's streamlined, and it's a hefty game. There's a lot going on, and again, another table's hog. But wow, I'm so glad that the heavy Euro games that are coming out these days are at least. Most of them have some semblance of theme to them.
Yeah.
And the theme is making sense with the mechanisms. For me, that just helps me enjoy the game so much more.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's my number 7.
All right. My number 6, Tom, is a Euro game.
Oh.
About time.
It's a Euro
Wait,
game,
who's
and
the
it's
designer?
it's also a beige Euro game. Very beige.
So Galileo Galilei.
It is not Galileo Galilei.
Sounds
I like
pretty
it.
beige.
I like it, but it wouldn't get in my
Euro
top.
game from this year.
Is it Knizia?
No.
A beige Euro game.
Heavy. Quite heavy.
Is it a Lacerda?
No.
I don't know.
My number 6 is
know.
Ezra and Nehemiah.
I haven't seen the board for this one yet.
Okay, I see.
So Ezra and Nehemiah is probably the heaviest game that has come from Garphil, Shem, and Sam.
Is it
McDonald.
heavier than the one they just released?
I believe it is. Now, I'm glad you brought it up because that's Inventors of the South Tigris. I believe that Ezra and Nehemiah is heavier, in my opinion. Inventors could eventually get to a point where I feel like, oh, it could have been on my list, but I've only played it maybe 3 times.
I wondered if it might have made your list or not.
Yeah, no, Inventors we haven't reviewed it yet, so I don't want to say too much about it.
I haven't even seen it. I mean, other
I haven't
than
even
the
heard
box.
of it.
Yeah.
It's the third in the trilogy. You're going to get it mixed
now
up.
I've heard of
He
it.
knows for sure.
Got
But
it.
anyway, in Ezra and Nehemiah,
This is not solo. This is a normal big Euro.
Yeah, it's both. You can
Because
al-
these
you can
covers,
always
every time I
play
see one
there.
of these covers in my head, I think it's a
Legacy
a
View
giant roll and
or-
ride
yeah.
or a solo thing.
because it's the
Is that art?
The Ancients series, yeah.
Okay,
because
got
the
it.
only other one they had that wasn't that was Raiders of Scythia. Because
Okay.
other than that, it was Hadrian's Wall.
Right.
So yeah, I can
Legacy
understand
of
what you think.
You, I think
Yeah,
of.
yeah, exactly. So this is like I said, a heavy Euro game that has a lot of interconnecting systems. In the bottom right, you can see there's kind of like almost a little rondelle. So you got a little bit of a rondelle thing going there, but this is mostly about the card play. You are placing cards that are going to be allowing you to do things. You're trying to, essentially rebuild this wall. This is a historically themed game, and if you have background and knowledge in the theme,
I do not.
which I don't really either.
I do,
quite
though.
honestly.
That really intrigues me.
There's a lot of thematic connections from what I've heard. And I think Chris has talked about this too. I know that he's fond of this game, and he talked more about the thematic connections. But to me, this is just, again, a really, really solid, well, beyond solid. It's a really good, heavy
It's a wall.
Euro game, yes. I just think that for me, for heavy Euros, Garfield is going to be kind of, because they just tend to work for me. They just tend to work for me. So
I didn't realize this one was that heavy. I was just under the assumption it was in that middleweight class.
no, I think this is heavier
Who
than.
designed it? Is it?
It's both Shem and Sam. So
I'll have to give this one a whirl because the theme. I mean, it's very biblically
biblical
based
theme,
on
yeah.
Ezra and Nehemiah. That's intriguing.
yeah, no, I mean, with as many Euros as you've been playing, give it a shot.
You're a Euro gamer
Yeah,
now.
yeah, give this
Proper
a
Euro
shot.
gamer.
I was. Hang on, we're getting to some other numbers
Oh,
now.
okay, all right.
Calm
Yes.
down.
Yes. So there you go. My number 6, Ezra and Nehemiah.
I got to get in on this Euro game business, so I'm going to go ahead and do that with my number 6. My number 6 is a heavy Euro game,
Wow.
but it's not the first time it's been mentioned today.
Oh.
So, unfortunately, I have to share a little credit with Mike. This is Nova Roma,
Nice.
my number
Woo.
6.
Tom.
Fantastic.
Not on your
Euro
list.
game.
You're left out.
I like it a lot, so I'm fine. I mean, I'm fine with this being
This
on people's
feels
list.
like
It was a great year.
feels like Trajan all fixed up. It feels like Targi all growed up. You know, it has that
There's
central
a little bit of that, yeah.
That central thing does feel like Targi a little bit.
Yep.
And while I am not normally a big fan of disparate Euro mini games, I tend to not like that because they don't feel like anything. They're sort of like, okay, sure, that's the crossword one. This is the polyomino one. This is the advance on tracks one, whatever. In this one, there's a little card play, which I enjoy. The theme I like, the look I like, and then that central worker placement thing with making your actions bigger and better if you're on the same row or column as your previous workers or Caesar. I like that. I enjoy that. That carries it for me.
Smart.
For me, I think Stan Kordonsky, the designer of the game, is just on the line of too much. And of the games I've played, some of them have felt like, oh, I enjoy this, but there's a little too much of that sort of Feldian, when Feld gets big, sort of Feldian soullessness that I don't love it. I enjoy it. I respect it. I don't love it. This one is safely on the side that I can really get into it. You know, there's that new one, the Minoan one, whatever.
Minos, that
Minos
looks
some-
much heavier.
Yeah, and that one I haven't played, but I suspect will be on the sort of side of too long, too dry.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite hook me. This one did, and I really enjoyed. I'd recommend it again. It's a fantastic year for Euro games, and
Yeah.
don't let this be one of the ones that passes you by.
Agreed.
Because I think you're going to enjoy it. So yeah, my number 6.
All right, my number 6. It was an amazing year for
Euro
deduction games.
Oh, yeah, good deduction.
And there's so many good ones. I did a top 10 on it. This is my favorite of the bunch, and it's actually the most unusual, I think, of the bunch, and that is A Message from the Stars. When they first told me about this game and like an alien's trying to, teach humans language, I'm like, I've seen this several times, actually, as a theme in board games,
Yeah.
and it always sucks. And this one, they're like, you're going to be guessing numbers using letters and words. And I'm like, ooh, math. And this game is very mathy. It's very thinky, but it's cooperative. And I love this concept of you are trying to get people to guess these secret letters that you have on the alien on your board by giving them words and telling you the point value of that word. Like this word is worth 6 points because it has 3 letters that are worth 1 and then 1 letter that's a times 2. And I mean, I really
That's the
enjoy
thing.
this.
I feel like I need to play it, but I've been scared off because I'm like, is this going to be another Turing machine for me?
No game that came out this year, and I'm including all those heavy, scary Euro games
Yeah.
for me, intimidates me as much
100%
as this game.
100%. Like I feel like I want to try it, but I also feel like I'm afraid I'm going to end up feeling really stupid.
This is
you
crazy.
know.
Every time you guys describe this, you or Chris will both really enjoy it. I'm like, no, that sounds wildly
well, that's the thing. No,
scary.
I don't even know that I'm trying to get. If someone hears that and they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
I
kind of
like
cautious.
deduction games, though. I enjoy
do
them.
too.
I don't think it's as hard as it sounds.
That could be it.
I like word games a lot. It's the numbers that scare me.
Yeah.
The words don't scare
Sure,
me.
but it's pretty basic. So let's say I give you the word door, and I
Okay.
tell you that's worth 2 points. You'll sit there and go, why would Tom give us a 2-point word? Because there's some letters that are worth 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
So he must be telling us that the O's are each worth 1 point.
Right,
So
'cause-
O is on the list, which means D and R are not. You cross those off, and there's only so many. There's some letters that are like pink.
I see.
And
So
if you figure out that one of those is in the word, none of the other ones are. And so there's a few rules like that, and that helps you out. And the game would actually be too easy.
Right.
But what they do is they also give you a list of synonyms, messaged, that you also need, your words need to be clues to guess those at the end of the game. Otherwise, you could just use any word you wanted,
Sure,
and you
okay.
would say, I need to get them to figure out that the letters are P-E-Z. I'm going to say Pez.
Pez,
You know,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
how
yeah.
does that work? And you can use proper nouns, which I like.
Anything. Okay.
It's pretty solid, but
Well, we
it
gotta
is
try it,
stinky.
Mike.
We need to try
We
it.
need to try it, you
Yeah,
and I.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So anyway, message from the stars.
Cool.
You know what this has also been a very strong year for, in my opinion, are
Trick-taking
two-player.
games.
Well, it's always the last
Every
few
year is
years.
a good trick-taking
No,
year.
two-player asymmetric games.
Well, then can I guess?
You can
I thought
guess.
this might be in your top 2 or 3.
I'm telling you, this has been a great year.
Kelp.
Kelp is my number 5. Yeah, the fact that this is number 5 tells you what a great year this has been.
Okay.
I loved this game from the very first time I saw it. I played an early version of it, and I immediately was like, this is so clever. And the big thing, to me, the biggest thing that is a positive for me for this game is that it's fun to play both sides.
Yes.
It
Because
is
usually like you
fun
play when
to
you're
play
like, can I be the
both-
guy who
Yeah,
hides?
100%. What I like to do if I have my druthers is to play as one side, play 2 games. One
Right,
is each side.
right, right.
I love doing that. And if you've got someone that's willing to
It's pretty short.
to do that. It's
So that
pretty
works.
short. You can do that in an hour and a half for sure.
You play this?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this game is terrific. Now, obviously, I'm going to be taken by the art. I'm a shallow gamer. I love water-themed
Shallow.
games. Yep, you like that? Weberson
No
Santiago.
wonder you can't find the octopus.
Weberson Santiago does a lot of things well, but water art, I think he's
It ain't just
particularly-
the art.
Yeah.
It's the entire production.
The production is out of this world.
And it's not just the production for like the quality of the cards and
Yeah.
all that. It's great. It's the way I don't know what the term is. The usability.
Yes.
They like this goes here.
Right.
And then here's the card that tells you exactly what to do. And I'm like, wow, this is once I teach you to play it, you don't have
Right.
to look in the rule book.
And that's especially important in an asymmetric game,
Yes.
right? Because it takes so much of that burden off of you because you've got visual cues and reminders right there, and it's just rock solid. Like if you're playing as the octopus, then you've got these little mini mahjong style tiles. You're trying to eat. But when you do that, you expose yourself to the shark, and so you're having to do a little bit of a shell game type of a thing. Because anytime you want to do something, you're having to reveal tiles, right? One of them being you, the octopus, and then the shark player is using these dice as kind of like a path building, and you're just trying to catch and eat and kill the octopus. It is very simple goals, right? If you're the octopus, you know what you got to do, and the shark knows what you got to do. That's another thing that's important in asymmetric games is that it has to be clear what the other side is trying to do.
Right.
Right?
I agree, and this is why this one outshines Ironwood.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is also a very good game.
Very good, yeah.
But this one is easier for me to understand what the other
Yes,
side is
it's like
doing.
I know as the shark what they're trying to do. I know as the octopus that they're just trying to kill me. Right? It's
How they can move.
and how they can do it.
And how close they're actually being exhausted,
Right.
what have you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the one thing I didn't like and this is a straight up like, okay, I guess I can't think of a better way, but I just don't like it, is that 33% chance you die thing.
Yeah.
And then it's a 50% after that. Like if the shark catches the octopus, then both sides pick a card, yellow, blue, red, or whatever. It says on there how the thing is trying to escape. And if both sides match, the shark eats you, you're done. If they don't, you get rid of that card and the matching color, and next time you get caught, it's a 50-50. Don't love it. I thought it was...
I get it. I think for a game of that length, it doesn't bother me
I
at all.
love it if players play it properly,
Right, I agree.
which means
There
the
is
octopus
some-
sits there and
Right.
has to choose their card and say, each of these 3 cards will do something to the shark negatively, rather than just picking randomly, because that would suck the fun out of it.
I agree. Yeah, I don't know.
And then there's a little bit of a, I bet he did this, because if he moves me,
He's expecting
that's
me to
more
do this.
That makes it interesting to me.
I agree.
Sure.
I agree.
Yeah, it just felt a little coin flippy for me.
That's fair.
But it's close to the end of the game at that point. It's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal. It just felt a little weird, like, oh, that's how it ends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a unique method, and it might be divisive, right? I mean, I happen to like it.
Yeah.
I understand.
You do like that
I
part
do.
of it? You find
I
that
like
interesting?
it in the sense that, like Tom said, it tells you what you're trying to do, right? And the shark knows that as well. So it's
Sure.
like, okay, the shark is probably expecting me to do this because it will be the most advantageous outcome for
Sure.
me. Now, do I double, triple think myself and be like, okay, well, I won't play that because he expects me, but he knows that I know that would, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff. So there you go. My number 5, Kelp.
All right, my number 5. Again, I feel like I'm playing second fiddle here to you guys because I keep talking about games you've talked about. This one is another one that Mike mentioned, and this is Tidal Blades 2, Rise of the Unfolders. Is an excellent dungeon crawl game. Wonderful world, wonderful production. Manages to be succinct in its deployment of what you are attempting to do. Here's a grid of 3x3. You play a card, you trigger that row or that column. As you play more cards into a row or a column, that column or row get better. Fill it, trigger a nice big juicy turn, wipe it. Cool. That's fantastic. It's emotional. It has highs and lows. You got to save it for that good moment where you can hit a couple of dudes or you need something tremendous to happen. That's the bread and butter. Everything else is this campaign. You're unlocking new cards. The characters feel distinct because of that little deck of cards you have. The whole thing is just a tremendous dungeon crawl game that doesn't look like any other and doesn't play like any other.
And I meant to mention this before, too. Also has a great economy of components. Right? This doesn't take an hour to set up. It doesn't take an hour to put away. It doesn't take up your whole table.
Yeah.
I mean, this gives you that expansive feel, but without 850 pieces and chits and this
There's a
and that.
bit of sorting out, but I mean, I get it.
To me, I think this is...
For a campaign game, it certainly doesn't.
Yes, I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. Crossover. Mike already said a lot about it. Tidal Blades 2, Rise of the Unfolders.
Another thing I'm happy about with 2024 is the plethora of good, decent, and even some excellent party games. When usually we're lucky to get 2 in a year. I was able to make a list of 10. This one is my favorite. As soon as I played it, I tried to get it into the Dice Tower Essentials, and I pulled it off, and that is Edo. I don't know what it is. This game just works in every situation. It is still getting into wide release. That they sold out at PAX Unplugged last week, but you know it's just coming out now. I think you'll be able to find it at Barnes & Noble and places like that. And it's a cooperative game. Everyone gets a number from 1 to 100. You have a topic. You put your card down, you say an answer that matches your number. So if it's like, what smells terrible, and I get 90, I'm going to be like, well, I don't know, the garbage can. You know, the garbage can with a skunk just crawled in, ate some Limburger cheese, and then died. You know? Well, and then Mike says, tulips, and we're like, do tulips even smell?
They smell lovely.
He didn't say rose. You know what I mean? So then we're like, well, maybe it's like 30s, and that's where it gets interesting. I mean, it's funny to hear the extremes.
The extremes are funny, and they give you that moment of like tension break, and everybody laughs.
Yeah.
But the game is really in the middle numbers.
Right.
Like, ooh, somebody has a 57. What are they going to say? Where's that going to go?
Right.
That's fun.
Yeah, I did a top 10 imports list as part of the Spectacular. I think it aired yesterday. For a couple of years, this game has been relentlessly imported by people that have heard about it and played someone else's copy and paid way too much.
Yeah, well,
to import
now
it from
they can-
Japan, and now you can get it, and it's localized, and yeah, it's great.
Very cool.
So my favorite, number 5, Ito.
All right. Whoa, look at that. That's a full-size water for a full-size human being.
Thank you. I'm upgraded.
I'm going to tell you what, after all of that squid larva you've been drinking.
Let's drag this out as long as possible
Yeah.
to see if Z can sit at this table the length of time.
I want to see if like
Eventually, I'll get a water
a
jug.
tentacle's going to grow out of your mouth.
Oh,
Yeah.
my. Oh,
All
my.
of that.
All right, we're in the
Squid.
top 4, Mike.
My number 4, you know the most surprising thing to me about my top 4 is that a game this great is at a 4.
Okay.
This has been such a great year. I'll say it again. My number 4 is a crossover with Z Garcia.
Finally.
Mm-hmm. And it's a heavy Euro.
Unconscious mind.
Unconscious Mind is my number 4. And I do agree with you, Z, to some extent. There was this case of we've known about this forever.
Yeah.
We've seen the cover. We've seen the art for over a year. You know, most anticipated list 2 years in a row.
You worry about
all
that
of
buildup. You know, you
Right,
worry about that
exactly.
in your head.
I've been, hearing and thinking and yada, yada, yading about it so much. But I feel like at least some of that time was spent on refining the game. I really do, because I think that this could have been a bloated mess. And it's not. And I think it's because it has been developed so much. You can, it has multiple designers on it, all of whom I think also do development work. I know Johnny Pack does. And it's all in service of a game that is attempting and succeeding in doing a lot of things without feeling so convoluted and disconnected that I dread teaching it. I don't worry about teaching this game so much. Now,
Right.
if I don't play it for a couple of months, am I going to have to flip through the rule book again? Yes, but I'm not going to have to relearn it. And so that to me is a really big deal. I like how the action selection works. I like it a lot. How the mitigation on that works. I like how your player boards basically are your upgrade system, and it unlocks the different types of things that you can use to score bigger points, to publish your theories and all that kind of thing. I love the idea of someone else has published something and you're going to cite that work, and you take one of the cards that is used for theirs and you put it in your own, but they get some points because you cited their work. It all makes sense.
Nice,
It's
cute little
really,
touches like
really
that, yeah.
smart, right? Whereas something like that could have been like, what? That doesn't make any sense. It makes sense here. You're citing their work, right?
Right.
So, yeah, just a really, really solid game. And the production, you can go on and on about. Even the retail version of this is beautiful. I love this game. And I'm glad that it delivered, because man, we waited for it. Yeah, there you go. My number 4, Unconscious Mind.
There's more crossover here than I thought.
Yeah, there's been a fair amount.
Yeah. All right, well, my number 4 shares an artist with Unconscious Mind. It is an asymmetrical, I would say, 2-player game as well.
It's been a strong year.
This is the Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. Based on Seven Wonders Duel is really at its core. And that debate is going to come and go as to whether this is too close to Seven Wonders Duel. Is it different enough? That's sort of up to everybody to decide on their own.
It's a tough call.
Play it and see, Yeah, there's some interesting stuff here at play that I consider to be, at the very least, an evolution of Seven Wonders Duel. So it's not really copying that system. And I enjoy it. I think it's a very cool thematic twist on the Seven Wonders system. Yes, the symbols are, you have to extrapolate a little bit. In Seven Wonders Duel, those symbols represent literal building blocks, lumber and brick and what have you. Here, they're like things like courage, fortitude, things like that, a little more nebulous. But I like the simplicity. I like that to buy resources you are missing in this game, everything is 1 gold coin. I love that. It's very clean. I love still that system of drafting cards and knowing when you take a card, you reveal the one below it to your opponent who's going to take the next turn.
Or you can see it and you're forced to give them a good card.
Yeah, or you can see it, right? The most interesting part, I think, is the 3-act structure really comes to the forefront in this game. Whereas in Seven Wonders Duel, there's some evolution there. Cards get bigger and better. In this one, things get scarier, and the threat gets becomes more of a looming, pressing problem. Because in that third age, a lot of the cards you have access to move troops, straight up remove them from the map, and so that comes into play a lot more, this sort of map of Middle-earth where you can have troops and combat and what have you. There's 3 ways to win. They're all balanced on a razor's edge, it feels like. You're going to be biting your nails down to the quick on that last, epoch or whatever of the game. Really enjoy this one. Lovely, beautiful production. If you like 2-player games and somehow you've never played Seven Wonders Duel, then you don't like 2-player games. But you should play this anyway.
You don't like 2-player games. You just can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
I
Number
keep
4.
saying whenever we walk in a room to pick out a new game, I'll pull a game off a shelf and I'll say, oh, let me look at this, and I'll say, cooperative. Okay, never mind. And it's not that I don't dislike
Really?
cooperative.
Yeah.
I
You're
want to
burnt
play
out.
more competitive. Well, I say that.
Right.
5 of my 10 top 10 this year are cooperative, but I think they do things differently. This one's the triple hit for me. I love the theme, I love the mechanisms, and I love the level of difficulty because I think super hard cooperatives are just hard.
Yeah.
And I should have known, because it's from Direwolf, as soon as it was announced that I would like it, and that is Invincible.
Yes.
Invincible for me, such a good game. I love the Invincible cartoon, February season 3. Yeah, I love bag building, the cubes playing it, but I love the flow of this one so much. Most cooperative games are you go, then I go. Here I'm like, I'm about to pull cubes from my bag. Hang on, I'll wait. You're doing some more stuff. And now I'll pull cubes and see if I can pull this off. And it has multiple scenarios, so you're not playing the same scenario all the time. And then upgrading and getting, you really beef up over this game. I played one game where I just like, bring on this guy and just punch him to the moon.
Yeah.
It's such a great feeling. And it's not that complex of a game. And it's also not that hard. And there are easy ways to make it easier and harder.
Yeah.
Which I like a lot. They added these cards, and you can have Omni-Man show up and just help you if you want, or you can play that you have to go do your homework. It makes the game harder for you, and that I don't know. I really like it.
This is a 1-2 punch for you specifically because of Invincible and bag building.
Right.
That's like a match made
no-brainer.
like for you.
Sure.
They couldn't have picked 2 more like 2 things that go better together for you. And they're not even like a logical choice.
Oh, no,
it's kind of
and
like a
upgrading.
strange thing. You know
I
what
love
I mean?
upgrading.
Upgrading stuff.
You get more powerful as this game goes by. You're getting those
Yeah,
powers. It's a really neat effect.
I haven't played this one yet, and I'll be honest with you. It's that I don't have a real connection to the theme. I haven't really watched Invincible.
But I've taught this to a lot of people who know nothing about
Right,
Invincible.
no, I get it, but the main
and they've
thing
enjoyed
is
it.
the look of it threw me off. It
Yeah.
really.
You like bag building a lot?
I do like bag building. I don't know if I'd say a lot, but I like it.
Yeah, I don't know if you would like it, honestly, because I
right.
do think it benefits from really liking bag building. And, yes, the theme, if you have a connection there, you'll enjoy it more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I don't know. I liked it. It was not near my top 10 or anything. But, again, I couldn't think of 2 things that would go better together for Tom
For
specifically.
sure, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, and Direwolf knows how to streamline a game at this
They do.
point. It's
They
really,
do.
really well done. That's my number 4. Top 3.
Top 3.
Top 3.
And I
Thank you, John.
yeah.
Oh, John.
That's true.
For a second, I was really impressed. I was like, Joey is beefcake.
Yeah, I tell you
It's
what.
empty. He put it down over there.
Oh.
Thing's empty.
Now that's full.
It is
Why
full.
don't you pick? Why
You're
don't
a beefcake.
Why don't you pick it up again? Bend with your back.
He's giving up.
He's an old man. Don't hurt him.
I know. I'm.
Why don't you say what you
sensitive.
said while the microphones
I'm
were on?
sensitive to such things. My number 3. I don't do this on purpose, I swear, but it seems like every year there's one game that is like, I'm the only one that's played it in the crew. It's not a widely distributed game, but I absolutely love it. My number 3.
Taking all my firepower here.
Oh, really?
I was going to say, whatever you're about to say, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay. Well, this is Atlas Lost: Rise of the New Sovereigns. This game is so
mouthful.
good. It is so good. And I've hesitated. I've mentioned it to you. You've said, hey, maybe I'll try it. I'm going to bring it down, next time or to the cruise or something because
It looks good.
it has tech trees. It's basically a game
Done.
of tech
9
trees.
out of 10.
Yeah, the game is basically centered around tech trees. Up towards the top there, you can see what are 3 different tech trees, and they're assigned to a particular module. There are 5 modules in the games. You can pick and choose any 3 out of the 5 you want.
Okay.
It's got like culture, economics, religion, military, and science. So you
I
can
like
pick
2 of those 5.
any 3 out of the 5. And depending upon which 3 you pick, you're going to have different, obviously, tech trees for them and different ways that you interact with the game. The core system will be the same no matter what you do, but it'll have some different interaction points. So like if you're playing with a economics mode, that would be the one on the right where you see what looks like maybe little C's, but those are actually pieces that you connect to your agents that are going to be giving you building your economy. All right.
Who's the publisher? This Tactical Games?
The publisher is Tactical Games. They're a Japanese publisher. They kickstarted this, and it was kickstarted to the United States as well, obviously. It wasn't like I had to import it outside of a regular Kickstarter. It's a small publisher, but the pieces are done by Uchiba
Done.
and the designer is Tatsuka Chuo, who designed Ostia, Aqua Garden.
Why have I not played this then?
I don't know. I thought you would have backed this because we covered it in crowd surfing.
I have a copy.
Sometimes I miss stuff.
You might have missed this one. I think this game is stellar, and I really really hope that this gets into wider distribution because
you were right about Ostia.
Yeah, you
Ooh.
gave me that one.
Ooh.
I know.
I need the jug.
I
the
know.
whole jug.
Mm-hmm. But he's becoming one of my favorite designers. I mean, he is.
Wait, he did Ostia. Did he do the new one that came out last year, the one with the boats?
The one with the boats.
Yeah, where the boats were resources and...
Did he do that one? Amalfi Renaissance.
Amalfi Renaissance, yeah. I'll look it up. Go ahead. Keep
look
talking
it up.
about how great this game is.
Anyway, no, it's fantastic. I love the theme. It's in this post-apocalyptic.
I'm in now.
Yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic theme.
What's it called again?
It's called. Just put Atlas Lost in.
Where is that on the cover?
It's in black.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, with white.
You're looking up Amalfi, though.
Oh yeah, but you were looking up Amalfi.
Yeah, but it's the same designer, he said.
Well, no, you were asking if it was. I
If
said
I'm
I
going to hit
wasn't
that
sure.
designer and see what other games he's
Go
done.
for it. Yeah, do that.
Yeah, why don't you just do your own thing on your phone while we're live?
Anywho.
Oh, this video's so far. No, he did not.
Okay.
So he's Aqua Garden, Ostia, Atlas Lost, Perfumery.
Perfumery is from the same publisher. It's a small card game. I've played that.
Got it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did do a solo playthrough of this on the channel, by the way.
We didn't watch.
I know you didn't. But if you wanted to kind of see how it plays, you can do that. So, man, it's just so good. It is so good. If you like tech trees, anyway.
I'm excited. I will try this one.
Yeah. Okay, cool. There you go. My number 3. I'm sorry it's not more easily available, but we're in the game.
We're not doing this. We do
Right.
12 games at Christmas and try
Right.
to give you games to get.
Exactly.
These we're doing because these are our favorite games.
Right. And this is
They
the
might
age-
not be available.
Right. This is the age of crowdfunding. You have to accept that some games are not going to make it retail.
You can't have everything.
That's right.
Okay?
Joey.
My number 3 is a game that was handmade by the publisher.
Yes.
I have one of 3 copies.
Yes.
And I'm in the market for a second one. So if you have one of the other 2, reach out to me at tom@dicetower.com. No, my number 3
No
is...
price too high.
My number 3 is a small game, a spin-off of a bigger game, same universe, what have you, and I think I like the smaller one even better than the big one. This is Kinfire Delve.
Wow. I just played this for the first time last week.
Okay. I
Really? Okay.
I don't know which one I like. If the big one or small one's better.
Well, you probably like the big one better. The big one's bigger.
I don't
It's
know.
got-
This
it's
one's
more-
really good.
They're really good. The big one falls into the same category, actually, as I would put Tidal Blades. It's a dungeon crawler that does things a little bit differently, a little more simply.
We're playing both, by the way. We're playing Tidal Blades tomorrow in the
Right.
Spectacular, and Kinfire,
That is
the big one,
fantastic.
on Friday. So you're
Yeah.
going to get to see both of them.
That's a
Anyway,
good point.
Kinfire Delve, there's a trilogy of these games. You can mix and match them. They come with 2 good guys, 1 bad guy, and you can, mix that however you want. It's cooperative or you can play solo. And I like that the characters are the same characters from Kinfire Chronicles, and the feeling of that character is distilled to, 18 or 20 cards or something like that. Really neat. Has to push your luck feel. Has a little dice rolling in it. You have to manage your life total is a pool life total. So all 3 of us playing cooperatively, we only have 10 health between us. And it's really neat. Gorgeous artwork, neat mechanisms, very put together very simply. Nothing sort of shiny or bombastic. It gets the job done. I really like it. The cooperation's neat. I can sort of play cards on your turn to boost what you're doing before you roll. I like it a lot.
This has some of my favorite cards I think I've ever seen.
Like
I
the
love
look?
the look and the
Yeah.
feel of these cards.
Yeah.
They're very easy to read. The art is amazing. They look
Yeah.
really classy and elegant.
Actually, maybe that's why I would pick this one over the other one.
Because it looks very clean.
No, it's better art. It's more abstracted in Kinfire.
Okay, interesting.
There's not a
yeah.
lot of art in the cards. They're more like symbols and stuff.
That's true. That's true. You do get in the big one. You sort of get, the critters, the monster standees. You get a little more. You have a board, you have a city, what have you. But I agree. The artwork is really
I didn't put
good.
this on. I
Yeah.
mean, this is on my list for expansions and stuff because this is kind of a follow up from the one that came out last year. It was kind of the same. That's why I didn't consider it for my.
It is. Yeah. It's sort of a. Yeah. It's a weird one to decide on because there's 3 games. 1 came out last year. 2 came out this year. And that's the full trilogy.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, this one came out this year. It's my favorite of the 3, so that's why I'm going with that.
Easy enough.
Yeah, and Kevin Wilson, I've played a number of games by him, but none of them felt like this. Does this is it just me or does this feel kind of like
He's getting more streamlined as
Yeah.
time goes
I think that's what it is.
okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 is a huge game, gigantic. It's my last cooperative game on this list, and I kind of went in with a negative attitude because the minis were so idiotically big, and I hate giant boxes. And this
Yeah.
is Primal: The Awakening.
Yes.
And oh my word, do I love this game! I love this game because it has a neat. It's not a deck building game. You have this one deck, but you are trying to build a hand of cards, and you just want to wail on this monster. And you can pull off some amazing combos, and they make the monster suitably difficult to fight. But I also love the flow of this game. It is not a good guy go, bad guy go, good guy go. It's good guys go, and the bad guy reacts to you. And so you can even kind of plan ahead for that.
Yeah.
And then you just sit down and just throw out massive amounts of damage, and it feels fantastic. We have it condensed in the library in a reasonable sized box. We took out a lot of the monsters, but man, I like any game that feels good. I also like a game that lets you can play. This game has a campaign, which is cool, but I can just play a one-off against any monster in the game
Yeah,
at any
that's-
level.
that's what I
and
like,
that's
yeah.
fantastic. I want to play at level 4.
Yeah.
We're going to play against the hardest level of this dragon, but we're also going to be loaded for bear.
Right.
Or we can play an intro game, and it works in all different ways. I played this several times, and just each time has been an epic experience. So I just really like this one. So that's Primal.
That's a good one.
Hey, remember when it must have been 10, 15 minutes ago I said it was a really strong year for 2-player asymmetric games? Another one of them is landing at my number 2.
Wait, so something beat Kelp. See, I would think Kelp would win that contest.
It's not officially
Out.
a
It's not out
two-player,
until
but
2026.
It was designed, you can tell, as a 2-player asymmetric game, and you can play with 3 or 4 with expansions. Actually, you can play with 4 with an expansion. But
Oh, right. I
Yes.
completely forgot about this. And it's
Yeah.
on one of my lists of games that, is unique.
Yes.
This is Harrows County.
this is Harrow County. Yeah.
Oh, of course, this is on your
Yeah,
list.
Of course. Yeah, it's my number 2. And again, that should tell you how strong of a year I think it was. So this is
Actually,
from,
I didn't think this one would beat some of the other ones you
Yeah,
said.
no, I continue to love this game, and it's from Off the Page Games, which is a publisher. Their whole thing is they are going to do games based off of graphic novels, comics, things.
Their
along
whole
those
thing
lines.
is they're getting me to read books I would never have read
100%.
otherwise. Every time they come out with a game, I'm like, well, I guess I got to read the
That's
graphic
true.
novel.
So yeah, as soon as I played this, I was like, okay, well, it's time to go get the omnibus. Although actually, they did a digital. If you bought maybe the bigger pledge, you got access to the entire
cool.
thing online.
Oh, did they? That's really neat.
Yeah, you got the digital versions of the whole thing, but I bought the print because I like having, especially something that has really cool art like this does. So.
This was better art, but I didn't think the story was good as the other one, the Mind Management.
Oh,
like
yeah,
it
no,
sort of-
I agree. Mind
this
Management
one's pretty dark, and
is
also at the
very
end,
dark.
I was kind of like, what happened?
Yeah,
I was a
well,
little confused in
They,
this
they
one.
also, I don't know if you've read any of the follow-ups. They had the Tales from Harrow County that
No,
come
I did
afterward.
not.
Yeah, those come afterwards. But yeah, this is a gothic horror setting, and it's very asymmetric. This is not one where you can learn the other side right away. So there's a learning curve to it. I think it's worth it, but this is more of a lifestyle type of a game. You need to play it enough to get really how each character is going to work well, to learn their real strengths and their weaknesses. And if you get two people that are of a relatively similar, have played it in a similar amount of times, you can get some really, really tense and tight showdowns. I love the theme. I love the look. I love how
Cube towers.
differently. Yeah, the cube tower is great, and actually, this is one of the best working cube towers I've ever used.
Well, I don't love the hole in the box, but yes.
I get it, but I mean, as far as the functionality of it,
Sure.
it works great. And it's a unique combat system. That's what the cube tower is for a combat system. But it's just a really unique, and that's a thing. That's why it's going to be, I don't think this is going to be a game for everybody because it's very unique, all right? And a lot of people...
Yeah, I would have to know a lot about you before I recommend this to you.
100%.
That's fair, yeah.
But you're right, though. It's been nice that it's introduced me to Mind Management. It's introduced me to Harrow County, the comics. It also introduced me to Manifest Destiny, which they turned into Core of Discovery. Another...
Is that out?
The game's not... It's not yet. It's
Okay.
I don't read till the game comes out.
Got it.
That's one I was interested
yeah,
in.
the
That's the one
alternate-
that's caught my eye the most,
Right.
both the gameplay
Yeah.
and that comic.
Yeah. It's the Lewis and Clark,
But
with
like with
alternate
monsters,
history.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's like crazy.
yeah.
I gotta check that out
Yeah,
when that shows up. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
The game and again the comic. This one, it was too abstract for me.
I get it.
Yeah, it was really abstracted. And maybe if I had read the comic,
Yes.
I could extrapolate a little more juice from it.
Yeah.
As it was, I was like, man, this is so dry and sort of, yeah, we're different, but I don't know why.
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I
it
mean?
is definitely an abstract game at heart.
Yeah.
There's no question. But the theme does help that. If you know the story, it makes sense why the protectors are doing what they're doing and the family's doing what they're doing and Hester is doing what she's doing. So,
Makes sense, yeah.
Yep. There you go. My number 2, Harrow County.
I'm not sure the sister was... Okay, anyway. All right. I got really confused when the
I
sister
know.
showed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
My number 2 is it's a small card game. Every year there seems to be one little unassuming looking card game that shows up and surprises me.
Yes, but what makes this year different is only one major list as opposed to 6.
That's true.
You go back and look at your list, you are a new man.
Maybe. It was a good year for heavy Euros and other stuff, right? I mean, but it was a good year for big games, I think. They worked with me. This is Castle Combo.
Wow, that's pretty high, man.
Oh!
Castle Combo is
Oh!
a very small game.
Wait, why
It's-
wasn't this in our top covers? Anyway, go ahead.
It is one in which you are going to be buying cards and putting them in front of you. You are building a 3x3 grid, and once it's complete for everyone, you score 9 turns. Every card gives you something right now, and it has a scoring opportunity at the bottom. And so every single play, and they compound, of course, affects the row or the column it's in or the symbol types you are collecting. I love how much this game does with 9 pretty simple turns.
Do you think this is like similar? If you like Fantasy Realms, you would like this?
Yes, I think so.
To me, this reminds
is
me of
easier.
Paper
This is like an
Tales.
easier to manage Fantasy Realms.
Okay.
Because
I
Fantasy
agree on
Realms has that whole like, okay, I got to make sure I don't get any of this. Oh, but I should be looking for this kind of card. Which one do I discard though? Oh no, I can't get rid of that. That's helping this. You know, it has that sort of, which is neat. This you don't have any of that overhead.
This looked like Paper Tales to me from just
No,
that photo.
no.
I mean, I haven't played it, obviously.
No, it doesn't have any of that. It's a little bit, I don't know how to describe it even. It has, again, you worry about the sort of rows and columns and scoring opportunities. Like this one scores off of every green shield that represents something in this row. Cool. I know what I should collect. Green shields. Oh, that card is a green shield. And it says it wants to be in one of the corners. I can satisfy both of those. I'll put it in this row with the green shield wanting card and in the corner. And those things feel good. It's like a little like, yep, useful checkbox. Hey, you did that, checkbox. Yeah, not everything works.
Yeah.
But it works a lot more than, say, Calico,
Right,
which is like, you should put this cat in the corner. You have no corners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like this one. It rewards me for playing. Really love it. Clean and simple. My number 2.
Wow, that's a surprise.
Now you can do your preamble.
No,
we
not yet.
can't,
You have a
'cause it's
number
to
2.
you.
Yeah, go ahead and do your preamble now.
Oh, so someone already figured it out in the chat what my preamble was. I made a personal decision, right? And because it's my list, I did not put Andromeda's Edge on my top 10 list
Why?
because I feel like it has too much shared DNA with Dwellings of Elder.
But now I don't know what your number 1 is.
Yeah, well, you should. Anyway,
Is
but
it
I will say
Dwellings
this.
of Eldervale?
I will say this. I will say this. It's replacing Dwellings of Eldervale in my top 100, and you know how highly I esteem that game. That should tell you how much I esteem Andromeda's Edge.
Okay.
It's just I made a personal decision of. To me, it's so close. I think it's slightly better than Dwellings, but it's so close that I'm deciding personally to kind of make that a stand-in. And I didn't want to put it on this list because I felt it was too similar to Dwellings. That's it. That's my preamble, and that's why Tom's going to be making it his number 2.
I have no such problems.
Yes.
Andromeda's Edge is amazing. I actually disagree with Mike here. I think it's very different. I think pulling the ships off is so much better in Andromeda's Edge. I think the way that the monsters move is better in this one and dealing with them, and also it's space. But
yeah, that to me, the space was not a boon at all.
But getting the resources and putting things out, this is straight up a Euro game. I mean, it's a Euro game with the combat, I guess.
So was Dwellings.
Well, I know. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. We're done with Dwellings.
I got it.
The only thing that Dwellings has over this is that in Dwellings you could, by very, very roundabout way and in unique situations, gain control of a monster.
Right.
You need to add that into the expansion, Peter, for this. Give me.
There's nothing you control.
You
Big
could
critters.
control a ship. I mean, yeah, no, you could do that here. Yeah,
Oh,
there
okay.
are big critters, but instead of critters, they're ships.
Yeah, I want to be able to control the
Alien
hive
ships,
ships. But
yeah.
anyhow,
Oh, the hive ship.
this
would be cool,
is
yeah.
a strong Euro game with a very smooth, fast combat system. It's amazing, and the combat system they juiced up with
That is better.
with a way that
100%.
you have a stat now that if you increase that stat, I forget what the stat's called.
I don't remember, but it gives you a minimum number of dice that are at that value or something along
No,
those
no.
Okay,
What it
okay.
is like, let's say you have this value at 3.
You can re-roll
When
it.
you roll your dice, anything below a 3, you keep re-rolling until it's not below
until
a
it's
3.
not below a 3.
That's cool.
It's
Yeah,
really good.
because a lot of people complained that you could, and I always thought it was kind of exciting. You could roll a single 6, 1 die. If someone else is rolling 6 dice and none of them are a 6, the person that rolled 1 die would win that combat.
Sure, but here's another thing about this game. Combat isn't devastating.
No, it's not.
Combat doesn't stop you from doing the actions. I mean, if you are someone who hates kind of take that aspects to games, I think you still might like this game a lot.
Yeah.
It is, and it moves up on tracks. And I mentioned move up on tracks. That's better than the Dwellings of Eldervale. The tracks
That
is so
is
much easier.
much better,
Yeah,
much better.
to me, it improved it in so many ways that I almost couldn't recognize the original game except in some. I don't know. It's just fantastic.
This
I
is
love
Luke
this game.
Luke
Laurie.
Luke Laurie and his
Yeah.
son. Yeah.
I gotta try it because I really like Luke Laurie's designs.
It also scales amazingly well. It's a great two-player game.
I think that there is.
I just didn't
pretty-
like Dwellings that much. I thought it was okay, but I didn't love it. This is space and the whole, this sounds better to me.
I have a feeling I think there's a real chance you could like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's my number 2, and probably Mike's real number 1 if he was willing to have the guts. Andromeda's Edge. I know Mike's number 1. I have no idea.
Yeah, I
yours.
have no idea what Z's
You
is.
do know what Mike's number 1 is?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is to me
Critical Darling.
whatever.
Oh.
It's a great game. It's a spectacular game. It's the
Did it
best game.
crossover with me?
No, it's the best game of 2024, and it could be the best game of the last 5 years. I mean,
Darling.
yeah, all of his games are at least critical darlings. They're not always super popular amongst the greater gaming people or greater gaming group at large.
Have you ever played Root?
Yes.
Oh,
This
wow.
is Arcs. Number 1 is Arcs. And I've always admired Cole Worley's games. They've showed up on my lists over the years in one form or another. PAX Premier is amazing, and Root is amazing, and Oath is amazing if difficult to wrap your head around. Arcs has all of the highlights of the Cole Worley's designs in that it takes things that you're used to and subverts them, right? It takes trick-taking as a mechanism to really be action selection. It's more of an action selection system using some of the tropes of trick-taking, right?
Okay.
Subverting expectations. It's a space-themed, very, very in-your-face, cutthroat, and tight type of a game. It has one of the best things in games, which is player-controlled scoring for the round. I love that, where the players are going to be the one that's picking what scores this round.
Sure.
And turn order has such a big part of that, and turn order is such a big part of every other part of the game. And it's in a small package, right? I mean, if you get the campaign, it's a bigger thing, but this is basically in a Root-sized box, right? And you are getting this very, very interactive, in-your-face experience with incredible subtleties and strategy, and the cards that are available can do such powerful things and really change the feel of the entire game. And the biggest difference between this and Root and certainly Oath and PAX Premier is that I am not afraid to teach this one. I feel like this is a game that I could teach in 10 to 15 minutes. Each player has a player aid that is so comprehensive you could learn the game from the player aid. You really could without reading the book. The book gives you more details, but everything you need to know is really in that player aid. Just a stellar, stellar design, an amazing game, and it does so many things that I don't care about space. I really don't.
Okay, first of all, shut up.
Why?
Space is amazing.
Well, you can love space. I like it, but it's not like I don't see a space game and go, ooh, just based off of that.
Right.
It doesn't
Except
turn
the
me
top
off.
Two. It's Arcs and Andromeda's Edge. And then
I know.
Titans
No,
Fall.
it's very true. No, there's a lot of space this year, but anyway,
Sus.
Arcs for me is just game of the year. No question to me that it's game of the year, and in such a strong year too.
I haven't played. I worry. Somebody in the comments is saying that they more appreciate this game than love playing it, and I worry I might fall into that category. I tend to fall into that category more than not with Cole Worley games, where I can see they're brilliant.
Yeah.
I appreciate the look and the subtleties, like you said, and the going for it, And I don't necessarily enjoy playing them.
Sure, I get that.
They're a little, I don't know, academic maybe for
I'm
me.
similar to Z. I like Arcs. I think it's fun. I don't know that I'll ever play it again because, like you said all these things, and I respect it. It's a great game, but it's also a game where it's like a ballet dance, and at one point I go, and I just lost. Because that can happen. You mentioned you picked the scoring, and at one point he picks the scoring. I'm like, oh, and wow, I'm about to get shellacked.
right because you.
But you
didn't
knew
prepare,
that
you didn't prepare
is the
for
subtlety there,
that's it.
right? I
You
mean,
didn't
No,
prepare
I
for
get
the
it. I understand it. I'm
eventualities,
just saying that I don't. I like games that have lots of hundreds of smaller moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arcs has a few big moments.
Yeah.
Sure.
And again, I'm very impressed by it. I'm somewhere between a 7 and 8 enjoying it.
Yeah.
But
I'm definitely someone who, the more games I play, the more apprehensive I am of the word subtlety in board games.
Well, because
I'm
there
not
could be
that good.
There could be a
That's what
fine
it
line
is.
between subtle and obtuse. I think this
Yeah.
is subtle but not obtuse.
Sure.
I think it can be obtuse though to some people.
Okay.
Because trick taking is not for everybody,
That's a
right?
good point.
And
That's a good point. I'm very familiar with the tropes of trick
But
taking.
there's also people who love trick taking.
Yeah.
They play this and go, "Wait a minute,
It's not trick taking.
it's not trick taking.
Yeah, yeah.
It is and it isn't."
You're
So
right.
It's one of the most unique games to come out in a long time.
right.
And it's well put together. I just don't know. I want to
Right. And
always ride that
again,
ride.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's almost Root is his most popular game, right? The one that most people have kind of taken on. And I think the setting helps because that's straight up a war game, right?
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah,
is.
right.
It's one of the most popular war games of the last 10 years. People don't usually think of it that way, but Arcs is going to be the same way. I mean, it's just not going to be for everybody. But this one I think is much more straightforward than any of the other games.
All right. Well, my number one is not going to be anything like this. It's not subtle. It has a giant stack of cards. There's no... It's not minimalist in any way, or elegance necessarily. It has a bunch of cards and dice, and it's just fun to build combos and trigger them. It's Creature Caravan from Red Raven Games.
This is one I really think I need to play.
Oh, this was in my short list.
This is
100%.
just fun. I mean, and again, it's I know the complaints, and I see them myself.
Yeah.
It's very solitaire. You are doing your own thing, pretty much. But it is, you are buying cards, putting them out in front of you, chucking a handful of dice, and then activating stuff in front of you with those dice. It's the same system the designer used in Artifacts, Inc. It's the same core concept. It's a big, big evolution on that. You're traversing this board. You get a few little bonuses from that, dropping off your little 10s, but it's all about these cards, about drawing new ones, about seeing combos and going, oh, hold up, this is going to give me, this counts as a tiny creature and a nocturnal creature. This card scores off of nocturnal, plus it helps me fight. This guy helps me fight. I got a few fighty spots coming up. Yep, I'll pay for that. You can discard cards for resources if you're a little bit short sometimes. You're managing a few moving parts, but the whole thing's fairly simple. And then you score your cards, how far you got in your sort of traversal, trying to make it to the city at the end.
Got to get to the city.
It's pretty important getting to the city. I don't think I ever make it to the city. I really like it. It has that whimsy that those games tend to have. What's the world called?
Arzium.
The Arzium world tends to have a nice amount of sort of whimsical creatures and look. And it's just simple. I don't know. It's a disarming sort of game for me.
I think it's unique amongst his catalog too. Like you mentioned, it probably the game it is closest to is Artifacts Inc., which is a game that probably the least amount of people have played.
Right. It's one of his lesser known games.
It definitely is a much different experience than his more narrative-driven games.
Right.
But it has enough of the Locket-isms, right, especially in the cards. But yeah, I think
Locket-isms? Is that something we're going with?
Trademark.
We just call them lockets.
Wow.
Like a locket of wisdom.
Yeah.
Locket-isms. I like that.
Yeah. So this was
Okay.
on my short list. It was between 11 and 15 probably.
I love it. I think it's
Yeah.
very, very nice. My number one.
All right, before you get on me about my number one pick,
Here we go.
just remember that
You say
people...
it's Pit? Oh, Pick.
Just remember that people buy gigantic Kickstarters with thousands of miniatures and pay thousands of dollars for this same old game and miniatures and expansions they're never going to play. All right? And I know that this is my most played game of this year, and I know that people hate the model of this game, but I love it so much. You haven't even played
That
it.
came out this year?
That's because it's a TCG, and I refuse to play CCGs or TCGs or anything that's related to Gs, CGs.
And this is Star Wars Unlimited. I really love this game. And here's the thing. Despite Mike's old manisms,
It's like a Locketism.
It's an anti-Locketism.
Oh, okay.
You could buy the two-player starter of this, and it is a really solid
And I have.
card game.
I have played. That's what I have.
Yeah.
And you have extra cards, by the way. You've been giving away to Chris. Doesn't invest in this game. Hook me up with some extra cards.
Okay, I'll give you some extra cards.
Okay. Yeah, I bought the 2 starters, played with Tom, probably beat him.
Probably.
And it does feel like a good game. Like that's it's rare for a trading card game, especially older ones, to kind of come out of the gate with a starter and you can just play that for real. Now, you can do it. You can
And it
do
feels
it.
like a really good game, too. It doesn't hurt that I like Star Wars. I mean, that's certainly helpful. But I like the game better than the other one that came out this year, which was
Altered?
Altered, right?
Yeah.
I like it better than Lorcana. And I'll
Yeah.
say this, I like it better than Magic.
What?
I know. But they came out with 3 different starter sets this year, so there's actually 6 decks. But then also, I also like the game because when you buy those packs of cards, you just go flip, 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 put the cards in your deck. You can easily add cards. There's the rules of building decks are pretty simple.
Yeah.
I have so many thematic decks. It's just
It's
it's
a much
fun.
more modern game than Magic. Mechanically, it's just so much more modern. That take an action, bring on your leader. It's like, yeah, it's just new. It feels fresh. It feels newer than some of those old. And Lorcana, I like Lorcana, but it throws old. It feels, it's a throwback a little bit.
All right, you convinced me. Let's play, Tom. I win. That's cash.
do that again. I double dog dare you. That $10 is going to end up in my pocket. Oh, wait a minute. No, you don't.
Wait,
Oh!
what just happened?
Comes with the ciento. I'm out.
Do I have money in my pocket?
Dropping a hundo like it ain't no thing.
This is for my kids to survive on while we're gone next
Whoa.
week. That's what I have it for.
My measly $10 now looks pale in comparison.
Nobody told me about this. Just pulling money out of
Look, all I
pockets.
can
He
buy,
started it.
all I can buy with a 10 is Babu Freak. I give up.
Babu.
Babu Freak.
No, but I really, every time I talk about this, there's always screaming in the comments about people, I don't want to spend money on a collectible card game, but no one is making you buy hundreds of packs. Unless for some reason you're in this competitive scene. I'm not. I buy the decks, I buy a lot of cards, and then I just make decks out of them. And I still spent less than a lot of these giant Kickstarters, and I
Yeah.
played this way more. I played this game tons this year. I've got my money's worth out of it, and I find it to be just a lot of fun.
Wow. All right.
So, yeah, this was an easy pick for me, actually.
And you think this is going to have staying power? You think you'll be playing this for a while?
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been playing Overpower since '95.
that's what I'm saying. I guess
and
that's
this
what I'm
was
saying,
the
yeah.
first CCG that's really caught me for 20 years, probably.
That's impressive.
Um,
I think so. It seems to be doing well. People seem
And-
to be liking the system.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, I'm content. If
Sure.
they told me there's like many more sets in the future, but let's say there wasn't.
Yeah.
It's a good game.
Right, you
Again,
have
I'm
enough
not
right now.
in this. I don't need new cards all the time.
Yeah.
I have a ton to mess with.
Yeah.
Yep.
They already have most of the major characters.
Yeah, that's also
When you
cool.
buy those first sets, you're getting Luke, and in his deck is Han and Leia and Chewbacca
Yeah.
and
Nice.
Darth
Which is
Vader.
also a modern idea. Put the big hitters up front. Put them in the starter deck, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, the rare cards in this game, the super rares, are like foils and cards with the borders, and I don't care about that
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
I'll give you mine. Give
Yeah.
me 2 of your regular
Good
cards.
Yeah,
I
regular
agree.
cards, yeah.
I agree.
All right.
Alrighty, well that's it for today. Day 3 of the Christmas Spectacular is over. We want to thank again the World Series of Board Gaming for sponsoring us. Check them out. You can get a deal and go there now. We might win some games though for the next 2 days because they're leaving.
I
That's
know.
right.
I'm
I'm
back.
back, baby. I'm back.
Well, tomorrow you better win because it's a co-op game. You're starting tomorrow. Well, we're starting with Smorgasbord in the morning with the board game news.
Yep.
And we're going to look at our predictions from last year and see if we were correct.
Okay.
I haven't looked
Terrified.
at them, but I'm pretty sure we were probably wrong.
Probably wrong. Yeah.
Title Blades 2 then.
That's the cooperative game. Who's playing with me?
You, Camilla, and Joey.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Well, I was feeling good until you said
Sorry.
Camilla.
Which one?
Joey.
Thank you.
And then me and Z later on will be playing Monumental Duel against each
right.
other.
I like that game.
And then you're going to get a chance to see the Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game later on. Hey, you've not played that yet, have you?
I have. I played like one of the scenarios.
Oh, you played it
early.
before it came
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Holy.
and then
so cool, Mike.
tomorrow afternoon, top 10 games of the year, you're going to see Joey's top 10, which I'm sure are all fantastic picks.
Yeah, they are.
I'm
They're
sorry,
all
I forgot
print
to use my
plays.
air quotes for part of that. Jason Levine, and then I'll be there presenting your top 10 picks, which I tell you what, You're gonna not see some crossover. There's gonna be some games there no one has put in their top 10s
okay,
yet.
100%
okay,
believe
good.
that, yeah.
Because it's been what?
A fantastic year.
Agreed.
Fantastic year.
You know what someone said in the comments? They say that every year, and you're right, we do. But would you rather watch a channel who says, "Man, this year sucked"?
Yeah.
I like playing games. I still do.
I still do too.
But you know what I'm done doing? Is talking. So we'll see. Well,
I need some more. I need
how
some
much
more
water?
of this.
Do you drink almost all that?
Did look. I'm down to just
We
these
got to
two
end
little
this because
gulps.
these got to run.
That's
Here we
right.
go.
Until then.
Cleaning house.
What am I watching here? Yeah, I'm so proud of you guys. You drank your water for the day. Until next time, I'm Tony Basil.
I'm not gonna throw this as glass. I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Mike Delisio.
I gotta go.
Drink
Fully
your water
hydrated.
every
I'll be
day.
right back.
Fully hydrated.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Bassett.